Yeah. So how have you been since we last spoke? It's been about almost 2 years now, I think.
Good, it goes fast. I'm 54 now, so I feel like years are flying. Everybody says that. I think it's the less kept secret of humanity. We all know that, but we only realize it when we are really 50.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm not far behind. 45 in a few months, and I'm already exercising in the morning because I can feel my health getting worse.
No, it really sucks. Yeah, it goes fast.
Like,
So yeah,
It's crazy. My son's about to be like 4, so it's crazy how fast time goes by.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. When you have kids, you realize how time flies. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I've been hearing and reading that you technically got your start, if I'm not mistaken, doing QA and like localization and things like that for Origin Systems. Was that kind of the first foray into the industry, or was there something a little bit before that? Kind of like what got you into the Ultima Underworlds and System Shocks of the world, and what first attracted you to that?
No, it's true. It was in 93, and it was with EA. And EA owned Origin Systems, so one of the very first game that I tested was actually System Shock, and which is fantastic because I was a huge fan of Looking Glass, Underworld, so it was pretty incredible to have, to be lucky to test that game.
Now, was that a process that got you kind of hooked into those types of games? Is that just sort of an incidental thing? You're like, oh, I can dial into that now that I've seen that firsthand.
I guess since I started to play when I was 8, so for given that I'm 54, when I playing at 8 means I was pretty rare. Because it means it was in 79. There were not that many people that played back then. So I was lucky to have a friend who had a Apple IIe. And I was playing basically the very first Ultimas at the time. So I was exposed to those very, those ancestors of super systemic games.
Yeah.
That then became better and better because by the time Ultima 7 was out, it was really a fantastic systemic kind of Fallout type of game, and frankly more interactive than a lot of RPGs today. It sounds funny to say that, but in many ways it was. You could open and close the shutters, and you could characters were on schedule. And if you look at my games, there's a lot of things that actually you would find in Ultima, and then Ultima. Underworld, which was also produced by Origin, but it was actually made by Looking Glass. In my head of a gamer, everything was confused. I thought like, oh, it's all the same people. But so that was when I was, maybe 17 or 18 years old at the time. The first Ultima Underworld came out, and that was like mind-blowing. It was Ultima, but in first person, and there was no name for it. We would just call it an RPG or action RPG. I mean, it's just a new genre that nobody has seen before. It was actually before Doom. It was 3D before Doom, in fact.
So the Doom clone era hadn't started yet, which became the first-person shooter. Yeah.
Exactly, and Doom was super pretty, and it had also those fake lights that really worked very well with the sectors, and so that's and also so accessible and so fun to play, and the sound was amazing, so very brutal, very visceral. So that's why it stole the show, and frankly deserved. But it's important to note that Ultima Underworld was kind of like doing true 3D in a sense, because you could actually go up and down as well.
Yeah.
And then System Shock followed shortly after that, and of course, the characters were sprites, but the environment was true 3D and physics as well. You could grab objects and throw them around, and very rudimentary physics. That kind of thing really got me an appreciation, a taste for what would become, my passion for immersive sim. So. Yeah, I think I was already hooked when I had a chance to play test System Shock back then at EA, and so it was just like some sort of destiny. Then I was like, I was so lucky because I could not believe what was happening to me.
Well, if you're going to start somewhere, starting on System Shock, there are worse places that you can start. That's a hell of a starting point. Yeah.
Have you played any of the System Shock remake at all?
A little bit, yeah. I tried the one that came out a year or two ago. I can't remember exactly.
Oh, the Night Dive one.
Yeah, the Night Dive one. Yeah. It was. I got stuck in the cyberspace. Unfortunately, that gameplay was too hard, so I was frustrated by it. But the rest was really cool until then.
Yeah, I'm stuck on one of those levels as well. I'm not a huge fan of them either. Like, I don't think they didn't seem very great in the original game, and they're not very great this one. So
the first one was, and it was a fun experiment, but it was not the best part of the game. I was avoiding it as much as possible. But starting with playing these kind of games, it's almost like starting eating caviar when you're 3 years old, and then it's really hard to make anything of that.
I've always been a little bit of afraid of the immersive sim genre because I'm so kind of old school FPS focused and the simplicity that it brings. Immersive sims kind of scare me in their complexity, and that there are things that you need to. It's not point and shoot, which is something that I'm used to. Right. My partner really doesn't like first-person shooters the way I do. She loves immersive sims, and she couldn't care less about most of the guests that I have on this show. But as soon as I said you were coming on here, she was like, Dishonored is her favorite game ever. It's her favorite, and she's like, when is there going to be a new Dishonored? Ask him. I had to explain how that's never going to happen, unfortunately. And she was like, ask him to make one for me before Christmas. I'm like, really, woman? Yeah, in terms of Ultima Underworld and System Shock, they're obviously some of the first immersive sims, and they're essentially action RPGs with sim elements on here. How does your design philosophy change in terms of taking what they presented and then making your own kind of spin and making your own take on the immersive sim genre?
I imagine that these old games, it's not so much about the detail, it's more like the spirit and the values that they had, which haven't changed. Now, if you look in the execution, of course, everything has changed. The type of there's more interactions, even the physicality, the movement of the player, the type of actions that you have. There are way more possibilities. Not to even mention graphics, obviously, but in general, they couldn't do that much back then. They were limited to like mostly a 2D plane. Even though it was represented in 3D, for example, there was not much vertical traversal.